Hello, my name is Hersh, and welcome to the HERshyt Show. Well, a little bit about it. You're gonna laugh, you're gonna cry, you'll probably cuss at me, but that's all right. I just want to bring to you the realization of what's really going on in this world that a lot of people are afraid to speak on. Enjoy.
All right.
Welcome back to the HERshyt Show. We were just talking with Mr. Willie T here about his businesses and the business partners in the branch of.
Right. Millenial Communications. That started, like I said, about 2 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
I only say that because during the time we had the first contract, everything went smooth, but then the downside of the business.
How did it start though?
Well, being that, at the time I had been approaching maybe coming up on 20 years of communications.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something that I was so good at and that I had a passion for. It was, nowadays, it's kind of always been like this. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yes,
So
definitely, especially in the IT world.
Yeah, it was who we knew. And, if you know somebody in the right position that can kind of help you out, the rest is kind of history from there. As long as you can provide and say you do what you say you can do.
So you and your partner it just came out of the blue, like, hey man, let's move forward with this. How did it, because I already know who your partner is, so it's like,
all right, so
I can imagine the conversations that came in between it.
All right, so there's a backstory to how I really just jumped out. And I'm gonna get to the organic part of how my business now, Millennial, started. I won't mention names, but I knew something. The part of knowing someone who is about who you know, not what you know.
People that's gonna make things shake.
Right. Knew someone that had a relationship with a major company.
Mm-hmm.
I reached out to him because at the moment I had been contracting for someone who I felt that they could fit the position. They could fit that slot for getting something done.
Okay.
I'm not gonna go into full detail about it, but when I reached out to the individual that we know, he had a relationship with this major company and asked me, was I ready? And at the time I wasn't ready because I had Millenial Communications together, but it was small. It was just we're doing little contracts. I wasn't ready for the major stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's a big change. That's a scary change too.
Oh, it was. And I think that's the, when it comes to business, fear can't have a place anywhere around you. You just kind of got to jump in.
She knows from firsthand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like
I'm just the motivator to say, yeah, you can do it.
I mean, that's what you need. You need somebody behind you pushing.
Oh, absolutely. But I have not started a business myself except the nonprofit. So
right.
I don't know that y'all can be on more of the same level when it comes down to
it's scary, but what you're doing is probably something that, you needed to kind of push, because I'm not going to lie to you. I don't been through so many waves of emotions of talking myself out and just all kind of stuff. Like, I'm just like, man, I can't do this. And, man, what if something goes wrong? And when it came down to it, once I did do it, it was like, man, I was tripping over nothing, but
breaking that barrier.
Right. So going back to, the opportunity that was presented to me, I kind of passed on for the guy that I was working for.
Okay.
And I had a real close relationship with him because I came in as a project manager, kind of managing these guys.
Okay.
So when the opportunity came, I was like, listen, I can't do it myself, but I am working for someone that can do it. Well, this is probably 2 years before the pandemic came in, and let's just say it didn't go right. He didn't do right by the opportunity that was presented. He was made a millionaire. And in the midst of all that happening, things didn't go right for the person that brought him that opportunity. Mm. Yeah, so that's one thing. That was business 101 for me. Never do things without a contract.
Yeah, you got to have a contract. Yeah. That is, a lot of people do that hand. This ain't old school.
I'm learning that now.
Mm-hmm. This ain't old school. And even on this show, we're gonna start signing the documents of when you come on. You can use bits and pieces, but my producer owns the content.
It's
you know
business.
what I'm saying? So
See, that's
we
what
have
I'm
to
doing
start
right now.
doing that too.
See, I'm like, be as good as your word. You
Right.
know, I'm going, that's my thing.
That's
Be as good
old
as your
school.
word.
We're like that.
And now it's like,
Not when
I'm
money's
learning
involved.
lessons.
though.
With
now.
money, listen.
Not when money's involved.
It's
see,
not
now
like
I'm
that.
learning.
For where I felt that I didn't present a contract because it was, you think you're good with someone,
Mm-hmm.
and they,
I learned
you know,
my
how
lesson.
they talk the talk, but when it comes to business, and I tell this with anybody, it's nothing
You have to
feelings
separate
behind it,
your
but
personal from your
separate
business.
from personal from business,
Mhm.
even with friends and family,
Mhm.
because it weaves out all the chaos.
But we learned that
and
even
nonsense.
in the military. We learned that.
Right. But the opportunity came, and he didn't do right by it, and a lot of people got affected by it. And the guy that I gave the opportunity to didn't see anything wrong in it. Didn't. So I continued to work for him, and in the heart of the pandemic, I jumped out. I quit. I've always been making good money the last, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
But my Millennial Communications Group business, opportunity came that I just couldn't miss out on.
So what does Millennial do? What is the
So basically,
groundwork?
we do structured cabling, we do access control, we do security cameras, anything dealing with network coming into a commercial building, we do.
Okay.
So
commercial business.
to simplify it,
Okay.
we basically bring internet to commercial properties. We build out network closets, anything from the D-Mark circuit coming off the street, we bring in the building and we make the building live.
You know, a lot of people don't understand nothing you just said, player.
we bring internet to buildings. You know, if you're in a building, you're using your
So from the
computer.
ground up, you can pull it in.
From
It'd
the
be like
ground
a
up, pull
turnkey
it
deal. You go in there and do.
Correct. Yeah, that's what we do. So,
But only commercial sites?
not so much residential. A lot of my contracts that I deal with, I deal just strictly commercial.
Yeah.
You know, that's where the money is. So
Okay.
I had to jump out, but in the heart of the pandemic, I went full-fledged. Quit working for other gentlemen, and it's been
Focused on your base.
That's it ain't nothing like working for yourself. It's not easy. It is not easy, but it's worth it.
Ain't no days off, that's for sure.
No days
you can
off.
take your days, but you have to get to that point.
Well, I tell everybody it's scary because for me, I'm not clocking in a 9 to 5 and I'm getting a guaranteed check.
Yeah. That's just it.
If
Like,
you don't
I
work, you ain't getting paid.
I don't make no money. So it's scary, but at the same time, it's a thrill.
Too.
Yeah, it's liberating.
Yeah.
You know, it's what I go for.
You're
I wake
making
up,
your own hours.
man,
You're making your own time.
the freedom that I have is like no other. You know, and it has its ups and downs.
Yeah.
But you don't mind doing that work though. You just it's
been a passionate.
It's a passion.
You know what I mean? It's like you don't
Forever.
mind. Okay, let me get this done.
He's
Yeah.
been doing it forever. And
Yeah,
I
for
met
some
you in what, 04, 05, 04 is when I came to the unit.
Mm-hmm.
Is when we met. That's when I got out of active and then came reserves. That's when we met. And then we was thrown into Iraq right after that. So.
I got to give props too. Sergeant Grant.
Yeah.
He put me on. Like, as far as the communications.
Yeah.
He set me up. Like he got me together.
He was extremely smart.
He was hands on. He was all about the soldiers.
Yeah.
That's one thing I would say. That's nothing about the military. You got individuals that are for themselves, and then you have individuals that
want to teach you.
everyone.
That want to.
Yeah, they
The
see.
ethical and non-ethical ones.
Right.
Yeah, you got one that does that reach one, teach one method. You know, you got some leaders like that, but then you have some, and then being in the reserve side, they're more civilian mentality versus soldier mentality sometimes, and it's like, really? And these are our leaders? Like, I'm more soldier than you're soldier, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's technically, so being in the reserves, you're having to balance the civilian life. You're having to balance the military life, but you're still a soldier 24/7 because you could be called on anytime. You know, even if they joke around and be like, oh, it's once a month. Yeah, but you got 2 days to do what active duty does in a month.
Yeah.
So if it comes down to the schooling, the classes, the PIS test, the PT test, going to the field, we have 3 days to do what active duty does in a month. 2-3 days. And they might bring you on a few days early to prep the tents, to prep the equipment, to prep whatever.
Yeah.
But you don't have that guarantee. So in the reserves, it's a lot harder. Now, I can't say a lot harder, but you have to be able to balance the military life and the civilian life. And a lot of the people that were our leaders, they were actually doing the communications in the civilian side.
Yeah.
And they brought that with them to the military side. And used to be the military used their own equipment, their own everything. But then they started bobbing and weaving and bringing in the civilian side with the Cat 5s and the Cat 6 and the fiber optics. And they started getting away from their own MSC
stuff, right.
tactical. Let's throw up an antenna, and get our own shit and pay buku money just to be able to get satellite time for this weekend. Right. To let's go ahead and run this down.
That was one of the issues I had with the reserves. I remember being again E3, E4, and I had the biggest issue with a lot of the reservists that came in that were young, still coming out of high school, college. I would always say, being that we're here, why don't you give these soldiers, some kind of training?
Go get certification.
Right, get some kind of certification that'll benefit them on the civilian side. Because, again, we only do this one day out of the weekend. You still had younger enlisted soldiers.
And you don't get paid unless you
hurt.
And then you only get paid like $50. You
get really no money. So you got ones that's really out here struggling, barely working, making money on their civilian side. Teach them something that's going to benefit them. Yeah. That was my biggest argument. I couldn't stand it.
I think even at that time, my house had just burned down, and I was working before we went to Iraq. My house had burned down. I was sleeping in my car. Travaris was sleeping at my homegirl's house. I was working 3 jobs plus volunteering to go to classes in the reserves just to make an extra check. But you don't get paid until after, like 7 days after the class is done. So, but I gave myself them 2 months. And then that's when we got the house in Paulding County and they ended up going to Iraq. Congratulations, you're going to Iraq. Yeah. So it happened. There's soldiers out there, reserve soldiers. There's not enough resources, and they're not taking the advantage of putting those. They do the pick me's,
right? Yeah.
So of course, again, it falls into who you know.
That's why I always listen. Certain Grace looked out for me. He was one of those. He took me under his wing, and I appreciate him for that because he showed me the ropes. He showed me, a lot of what we were doing in the military. He showed me. Wasn't Don also doing? Don was
when
doing
he came over to us. He was doing fiber optic stuff too.
Him, Jose. A lot of them were. A lot of the E5s and
Not my ass.
Well,
I was doing
because you did it all. I mean,
I did. I did more logistics.
Right,
than anything,
right.
So
but the ones who were incomes like those cable dogs. Yeah, they were kind of.
Sergeant Carroll was doing. Well, he was a police officer.
At the time,
yeah.
But
he was damn good at cable. So the cable community or the community. I know y'all probably don't understand what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah.
But when we say cable dogs or the cable community or the communication side, it's the signal corps in the Army, and it's only like 7.5 weeks of training. But the cable dogs have that camaraderie. And you're thrown into running behind a truck,
right,
pulling cables and putting it on the side, and then one man up, and then they're running and putting it up. Like there's so much hard work in it, but there's so much pride in it at the same time because you made it happen.
Yeah,
people are being able to talk. What they say, you might talk about us.
Yeah,
but you can't talk without us because we will snatch all your shit out the closet.
Yeah, that's true.
But we're the grunts. Yeah. Cable dogs are the grunts in the signal corps. We're the ones that are running them 6 miles. Or when they try to do that 6 mile thing, and I took the LMTV through the fire trails and cut it down to 1.5 miles. Hey, we find ways to do things.
We're going to get it done.
Yeah. You're going to be able to talk eventually.
That's where my passion came from. I enjoy it. I wouldn't take anything.
And now you're doing it for yourself. Yeah, that is awesome.
It's a passion, I enjoy it, and it's going to get bigger. So
that is amazing. That is awesome. I'm proud of it. I didn't even know that. I didn't know nothing about
a lot of people don't because I don't really put the communication.
But can I at least get your website or something?
Oh, it's Millennial. MillennialGCP.com.
MillennialGCP.com.
Communications Group.
Okay. That is awesome. I'm proud of you. I called him to ask him to come on here to talk about his motivational affirmations and his shirt, his brand.
Yeah.
And he was like, that's not the only thing I do, right? And I was like, wait, what?
I don't know. I think we're in times right now where you have to have multiple streams of income. Like
that's so true.
Yeah, and
definitely
solely depending on one. Because I mean, with business, you're gonna have your ups and downs. You may have your sales booming at one moment, and the next, it might be down. But you got to find ways to create and keep it live. So it's
I believe in that wholeheartedly.
But
you travel though. It's not just Georgia based.
No. We cover.
Y'all go everywhere.
Well, Midwest, Texas, and back on over to the East. So we're all.
Why you stop in Texas?
The distance.
Okay.
Yeah, distance.
That makes sense.
You got to think too when we go out, per diem, lodging, all that plays a part. So as a small business owner, it's a lot that goes into having individuals out working for you at a longer distance. So
now, with you having employees, I'm only imagining. Do you got your SOPs and all that locked in?
It's funny you say that because everything I learned from the military.
Yeah.
Sorry, right.
You brought it.
I got to give them props, but that's the way that I do things. I mean, the military, it had me structured in a way to where I was able to line up things, and the way I do things is, 1, 2, 3, 4 is in order. I implemented with the business.
I just want to know, are you doing the inventory, the monthly inventory? It's not.
You do. Because you got to think all that structure. I mean, it worked for them, so why not? I mean, it's what I know.
But I just want to know if you're doing it because I used to have to get in y'all's ass about
not
doing it.
You know what? It's funny because being an E4, E3, lower enlisted, I used to look back and say, why did I half-ass or shortcut things? And I don't know why. I don't know why we always
would fight against the grain.
Fight against the grain, and then I guess it comes with age.
It would separate personal and business at that point because I didn't give a damn how I felt about them personally. We was gonna get this shit done and get it out the way, and they would cuss at me from head to toe the whole time we was doing it. But we would still have fun at the same time. But then at the end, they'd be like, you know what, it should actually look good.
Yeah, and that transition took, I guess, like I said, it come with age. As I got older, I'm like, man, you know what? Do it right the first time.
Do it right the first time.
And you got to worry about dragging it out and redoing it. So yeah, I owe props. I wouldn't change anything because the military is what got me into what I'm doing now.
Yeah,
I enjoy it. It's a love. It's a passion.
The military ain't for everybody though.
Oh no,
we are not recruiters.
Nah. Not everybody, not everybody.
It's not for everybody. It's not. Especially the reserve or even because the National Guard get paid by the state. Mm-hmm. So they have to go by state rules. That's a whole different breed.
The National Guard?
Because the reserves follow federal guidelines like the active duty does. But the National Guard is attached to the state.
Yeah.
So their rule is you have to be able to balance and maintain either way. The civilian life, if you're in either the National Guard or the reserve side, you have to find that balance. And if you don't, you're going to lose your mind.
Yeah.
You are.
Yep.
And it's only a few dollars that you getting paid that weekend that you go, and you ain't going to see it for another 7 to 14 after that weekend. So
I think anybody.
You got to have a game plan.
Anybody doing reserves, National Guard, I think they need a taste of active duty.
I think everybody should go active duty at least 2 years first out of high school. And then decide if you want to stay in or not. That's what I think. I think the discipline needs to. Because some people would get in, they may think it's not for me, whatever, but they would make a damn good soldier and they would end up actually falling in love with it. I really think that is possible. But that's just me. That's just me. Men and women alike, both of y'all ass can go in. It ain't just one-sided. But thank you for joining us and letting us know about Millennial and MIM. And until next time, this is the HERshyt Show.
Be sure to log on to youtube.com and subscribe to the HERshyt Show at TheHERshytShow. Brought to you by 8 Robinsons TV and Yellow Tub Creative.
Subscribe to the HERshyt Show on YouTube and Facebook. Support by purchasing merchandise at www.8robinsons.com.